Welcome back for episode 30 of the Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on May 11th, 2016 on twitch.tv. Big shout out to the chat here. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. This is your host, Blue Crew 86. Alongside me, we have our musical genius, Justin Sane 0516.
Kind of overbilling me there, are we not?
Just a little. I'm trying really hard, okay? And then next up is our third member of our merry little band, someone who might soon be returning to the digital wastelands of New York, Steamin' Willy Beeman.
Floofer's gonna floof.
And then we are also joined by a man who, if you've listened to Guardian Radio recently, is known for his love of a real-life Hawkmoon and apparently an MLG level ability to snipe, MesaSean.
Thanks for having me on, guys. People need to realize I'm kidding with the MLG sniping. I am average at best. I picked up a sniper maybe 2 months ago to prove a point, which I did prove it, that it's low risk, high reward. And I fell in love, and it's all I try to do is snipe. But I got lucky with a 1,000-yard stare with short gaze, snapshot, and hit in hand. So it kind of does a lot of the work for me. So, but thanks for having me on, guys. I'm excited to be here, man.
Definitely. The topic of today's chat is going to be a basic dive into the lore of the Warlock class. Before we get into that, however, I do want to just run through some really quick notes. Our last chat was our third extra lore episode and was a discussion over the Star Wars. If you missed that and have any interest in hearing our thoughts, please be sure to check out www.focusedfirechat.com for archives of all previous chats, as well as links to all our various other pages. If you don't mind, also please give us some feedback on iTunes or through our email, which is just focusedfirechat@gmail.com, to let us know how we're doing and if we can do anything better. As many of you already know, Focus Fire Chat is a cross-community gathering where the intent is to offer a week-long, in-depth view of a particular subject from within the lore of Destiny and other games. This chat begins every Tuesday morning and runs until the following Tuesday, with topics decided by the group via a poll that begins every Friday and ends on the Tuesday morning of the new chat. Every Wednesday at about 10 p.m. Central, we get together to stream a recap of the previous week's chat for all those who were unable to participate. Next week's chat's going to be a discussion over the renowned Ishtar Collective. However, before we start, I did want to give our guest a chance to more fully introduce himself. So, Mesa, what got you interested in the lore of Destiny, and where can we find you around the internet?
Well, I am a Warlock aficionado. Not when it comes to the lore, just to the class. I just adore the Warlock. I didn't start off as a Warlock. I was a Hunter main for, I think, the first month and a half. But fell in love with the Warlock, and that's the most amount of days, hours, whatever you want to call it, played on per character. And you could find me on Twitter at MesaSean. You could find me on Twitch at MesaSean. But I stream on YouTube, actually. And on my YouTube channel, which is MesaSean. But yeah, I don't really stream on YouTube. I mean, on Twitch. I stream on YouTube mostly.
How is that, actually?
Not
to start a tangent already, but...
Well, it's just easier because it kind of feels like a home base where I recognize everyone in the chat. It's all from my comment section. And it makes it easier when live events start. Let's say every Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. I'll stream the Challenge of Elders, and instead of having to make a guide for how to do it, people can just see at 5 a.m. Okay, they're going to do it live. They're going to see all the loot and everything. They're going to see what we do in terms of the modifiers. And then it archives right after, and then it's a viewable video. Or when when SRL launched, I just streamed it live, and so many people came to watch because they got to see everything. They got to see the quests. They got to see the new bounties. They got to see if the old exotic engrams did yield new year 2 exotics like the multi-tool and armamentarium I got live on stream. So it's just been a lot of fun. And I think for me to start streaming on Twitch, there's just too many people on, and I don't have a setup for... I feel like if I stream on Twitch, I need a green screen, a gaming chair, a G Fuel ad, and I live in a New York City tiny studio apartment where it's me playing on a 55-inch, sitting in the dark in my boxer shorts. I know a little too much information there, but sitting on my couch with the lights off next to my dog or my girlfriend, and who wants to see me on camera? You know what I mean? I'll occasionally do the face cam thing, but one of these days, if I move to a new apartment, I'll try to get a dedicated setup where I'll have a nice camera, maybe a green screen. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, it's been fun so far.
Awesome. Yeah, you forgot the air horn.
Oh God, the MLG. Yeah, MLG air horn. That's
Yep.
we know we use it a lot during our more interesting runs.
Yeah.
So okay, I mean, you want to just jump in? Let's tackle.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Alrighty, Warlocks. We have found new ways to weaponize curiosity, pathways into darkness. Warrior scholars of the light, Warlocks devote themselves to understanding the traveler and its power. A Warlock's mind is an arsenal of deadly secrets, balanced between godhood and madness. On the battlefield, those secrets can shatter reality itself. Which, that I like. They're my second favorite, I guess I would say. Not that I don't like hunters, just, if it wasn't for the Warlock's jump, it'd probably be my favorite. But I can't handle the floof. It's just...
But we're elegant in our jumping. It's a nice, gentle glide. So you get killed midair because you're flying so slow.
No, I like the Titan glide where you just, you can zoom across the battlefield. Me personally, that's just my personal opinion. Titans have the best jump.
First of all,
oh wow,
that's
we're
not
gonna start.
jump.
We're gonna start this off.
Neither
right
of those
from
are
the
jumps. But it's a pretty little whatever. It's
a nice floof. Okay, I like
believe
the
you
floof.
almost have
It's
to believe
okay.
in fairies. I don't.
You have to clap while you're.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm not clapping.
But
Duh,
I mean,
come on.
Back to it. Like, there are some awesome Warlocks out there. Like Osiris and Toland, and we're going to touch on all these guys later, including folks that a lot of people don't really pay attention to. Keep that in mind.
Ghost Fragment Warlock. Why did I set her on the trail? You try and try and try to explain, but no one ever understands. No one who's not a Warlock. Who hasn't spent a dozen years scouring the ruins for one string of symbols, one clean code, one black talon. Titans just make a humping noise as if they've stayed awake. Hunters clean their nails with their knives and look at you like you've grown a third eye. But when you've spent your life searching through arcana for ancient power, you have the urge to reach out and educate others. Especially if you've had one too many. Nah, she's not my type at all. We'd played dice, cards, war games, the usual stuff. I never tried to show off before. I don't know what came over me. I had a broken vertebrae in my pocket that I'd borrowed from. Yes, borrowed. I was going to put it back. What do you think you are, my conscience? It was a fossil. That means mineral replacement. A rock, basically. They can survive a few hours in my pocket. Do shut up. The Cryptarchs weren't going to miss it. Everyone knows the Ahamkaras were hunted to extinction. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. Think how mysterious the system is, I said. How much life sprang up when the Traveler came. Like the Ahamkara. Do you know the legends? The dragon that made promises? And I pulled out the fossil with a flourish. She pulled out her knife and started to pick the dirt from her nails. That set me off. You could have never brought down one of these, I said. Ever. Not the greatest hunter, not the brawniest titan. Her eyes narrowed. She said, "Oh, is that so?" And I saw right then that she wasn't going to pass on the challenge. I've murdered a guardian, I thought. She's going to die. It'll be my fault. And I looked at the piece of spine in my hand and wondered, why did I say that? What moved me to such pride? Love that card.
Oh, it's the crazy Ahamkara card. And that's accompanied by the artifact, which is the Ahamkara scale.
Oh, yeah.
In which we find out that the hunter did go and kill an Ahamkara.
Told him I could do it.
Yeah.
The other fun...
And that Warlock thought I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Ha!
The other fun one is a lot of people overlook it, but the nod to the hive in the second paragraph, where it's like they look at you like you've grown a third eye.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of different acknowledge. Well, and then as game players, we know that Ahamkara's items, still have that insinuating force, even though they're quote unquote dead. But it seems like this Warlock might not have figured that out just yet, but he's on the path to figuring it out. In the chat, Josh. Warlocks talk nonsense, and we hunters killed the Ahamkara.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. You're my new hero. But yeah, I guess I go ahead and take Warlock 2.
I thought you were taking Vanguard.
Okay. The Warlock Vanguard, of course, is a core array. Akora Ray's second life has been long and colorful. As an iconoclastic new guardian, she made a reputation in the Crucible and in the halls of the Warlock scholarship as an outspoken, unrelenting opponent with no patience for dogma or etiquette. That reputation became a burden, and Akora chose to travel alone, flying reconnaissance across the worlds of the inner solar system. Shot down again and again, she and her ghost survived against all odds, apparently preferring the wilderness to the company of her fellow guardians. When Akora finally returned to the city to rest, her hard-won knowledge and seasoned temperament commanded the respect of her fellow Warlocks. She now serves in the Vanguard as a mentor and a leader, carrying the memory of her wandering days as a link to rising guardians.
TLDR, she's a badass.
Mm-hmm. And she doesn't put up with a lot of I don't know, she somewhat kind of reminds me of Osiris in a way.
Does anybody have the invective quote, Andy? Because I think that's
they made a grab for my ghost.
It's like they made a grab for my ghost.
I tried to talk them down. They made a grab for my ghost. After that, it was a short conversation.
There you go.
Her personal weapon of choice while running in the wild, pretty much. But the other thing about Ikora that's really kind of interesting to note is that she started off as a guardian who actually bucked against the authority of the Vanguard. Like she pushed back against them. Iconoclastic is a person who kind of rebels against the established norm. And so and it says the unrelenting opponent with no patience for dogma or etiquette. She was very brash. She was very just ninja rockstar. The chat kind of nailed it. In her first life, Ikora was a total. We're gonna keep that PG-13, but yeah,
that's an invective. Ninja Rockstar. That is an invective,
right? And then but it's interesting too that as a Warlock, plus this is on the heels of Osiris, who was the former Vanguard commander. And, so it's kind of interesting to me too, because, they just kicked out a Vanguard mentor / Vanguard commander who was kind of the same way. Osiris was known for his lack of patience for obfuscation and political doublespeak. And they put Ikora in, and Ikora is kind of the exact same. Not exact same. She definitely falls in line. And she's not the commander. That's Zavala, but it's kind of interesting to me that for a Warlock, it's a very academic position, and I guess that kind of makes sense. The academic would be the one that's always questioning the norm.
Who here would love to see, as much as me, a fire team go out and just kill some stuff that consisted of Zavala, Cade, and Ikora?
Yeah.
Like in a cutscene.
Yeah, that it's weird with Ikora because she's always she's kind of putting her 2 cents in. When we go through the cutscenes of the Taken King, whenever something's going on, she's always like, we need a Warlock in there, when we were going to the Dreadnought, or when Cade is taking you on I think it was the second story mission, and she's Kate obviously got caught because he was giving us something to do, and you hear her in the background saying, "What are you doing over there, Kate?" Hold on, Guardian.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. But I think like they need that kind of balance because she's like the academic, and you've got Zavala who's like the very strong presence commander, and you got Cade who's like the rogue of the whole bunch, who is not afraid to cut corners to get things done, and then goes back to get approval afterwards.
Right, and but like even like following that though, even Ikora to a degree cuts corners because she has the hidden. And Eris, who is a hidden, who is not a warlock, but Eris, is in connection with Osiris and is in actual communication with Osiris and the Queen, and then they're doing their whole that whole little side project that they have running, and you would assume. I mean, I make the assumption that Ikora probably has an idea that this is going on, it's. She inherited the hidden from Osiris, so that comes with knowledge that there's probably some hidden who are still somewhat loyal to Osiris, and she doesn't I don't know, she doesn't seem like, granted we don't really see the interaction with her and the hidden, but it doesn't seem like she really cares too much. I mean, like, I'm sure she keeps him in line, but
yeah.
So I think that's the whole point of the hidden. They just kind of let them do their thing.
Well, and their intelligence gathering. I mean, that is definitely they probably aren't bound by the same rules necessarily.
Oh,
so you want to talk about Ariana 3 real quick?
Oh, she's my favorite. Yeah. So Ghost Fragment Warlock 2. Is from the point of view of Ariana 3. My name is Ariana 3, disciple of the Praxic Warlocks, marked by the Cormorant seal. We came here under one banner, united in a host of thousands, to claim the moon. But the battle goes against us. I have taken a prisoner, and this is the record of its interrogation. If I transgress in your eyes, I ask for your forgiveness. Ariana, it responds to pain. It responds to the light. Heard it again. Monster, heed me. Who is your master? With the sword. I can hear it in my head. The sword bearer's name is Crota. Record that. Should I burn it again? No, I think you're only feeding it. I will touch its mind. Ghost, help. They call you wizard. You must be ancient. I think you value power very much. Will you still be powerful without this piece of your mind? Tell me how to kill Crota. It showed me the battle. It showed me Wei Ning dead on Crota's blade. It showed me how Crota killed a guardian with a screaming knife hammered out of its own ghost. So I will take a piece of its mind and ask again. Tell me how to kill Crota. Incredible. Where? Where is his throne? Where's this twilight world under the dead star eye? Ariana, there's word from the company of Mariambrium. Crota is upon them. 100 dead. They need us. Tell me where. Tell me how. Tell me. Ariana, what did it say? It showed me how it did this. Just exactly this. To an awoken man. The knives arranged by its will. Like little silver ships. Like ghosts. It laughed at me. It said we were the same. Crota marches with 1,000 knights, and they say the sky above Mariambrium has turned into green fire. They are dying in numbers I cannot bear to repeat. He kills them one by one with the sword that eats their light. Ariana, we have to do something. Kill the wizard. Scatter the ash. It has nothing but lies to offer. Get your sparrows. We have light and fury. That will be enough.
So much to talk about.
So just right off the top there.
So there's the acknowledgement that light feeds the hive.
While fireboarding a witch.
Yeah, well, yes, because waterboarding would be too boring.
Too humane.
Fireboarding.
We're gonna give you a really bad sunburn.
Yeah, but it's amazing there that she did. I misread this, or did Ariana actually get a vision of Wei Ning dying from the wizard?
Like, we also got the fact that the wizard witches, whatever you want to call them, have apparently telepathic capabilities, because it says it showed me the battle. It showed me Wei Ning dead on Crota's blade. It showed me how to kill blah, 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 blah. It showed me how Crota killed a guardian with a screaming knife hammered out of its own ghost. Which, you want to talk about a fun mental image, is not only are we going to take your ghost away, we're going to turn it into a weapon and kill you with it.
Yeah, that Crota, he's creative. He's another thing that actually, and it's just on this reading, kind of grabbed me. The sky above Mare Imbrium is burning with green fire. That to me sounds like an oversoul. Did he pull his throne world kind of into ours?
It could be.
Either that, or it's the
wound, maybe.
We were talking about this in chat. I can't remember if this was this week or last week. We were talking about the chemical reaction of osmium, and it's actually green fire. Like,
oh, really?
I can't remember, because we were talking about hadium flakes and like how it's a made up metal. I think it's a made up metal. I think that's what we all decided. But then it's juxtaposed against osmium, and then they're saying something about osmium when it reacts chemically. I can't remember if it's reacting to air or if it was just like, if you set it on fire, basically. But it burns green. Oh, when superheat, thank you. Unisys in chat catching up with us. When superheated, it glows green. And so that's where kind of it's kind of a nod too of where the Hive kind of got that theme of the green ethereal light. I kind of took that to be that's the osmium metal that they are all kind of surrounded and imbued with. But it could be a simple matter of Crota's paracausal capabilities. When we activate our supers, there's that bright flash of blue or orange or purple. It could be something along those lines. As this is him summoning that paracausal capabilities to wipe out, how many thousands of guardians or hundreds of guardians.
Yeah,
it was a big Nova bomb, basically. But the other thing that kind of stood out too was one of the last lines. It has nothing but lies to offer. I thought that was kind of funny, because it's like, oh look, yet another Hive creature that's known for lying, hanging out with Crota. Poor Crota, I can't get away from the liars of the court.
Well, they are witches, so they're devious by nature.
This does not represent all of our views on witches or witchcraft.
Yes.
Just these particular witches.
Just these particular supernatural.
That's all I need is the actual witches in real life. I don't need another petition this week, Blue. I've been through enough. Mesa, did you have guardian abilities before I get into any trouble?
Oh, yeah. Do you guys want me to read that one?
Yeah, go for it.
Right.
Okay. I'll start it off with movie trailer voice, man.
There is a light in you from which no darkness can hide.
All right, from there we go. Only guardians have the gift of the Traverse Light, the ability to channel its energies to project vast power into the world. Even without a fire team, a guardian is a radiant engine of destruction. While these abilities rise from within, guardians master their power in different ways. Titans, understand the light as a force to hone through practice and strict discipline. Hunters roam and explore in order to learn, using dangerous methods to survive the wilds. And warlocks study the light and its inner mechanisms, confronting unfathomable mysteries in the search for transcendent might.
I love this card.
Yeah, it's a great card.
There's so much to take from it. The first thing that always to me stands out is the fact that it's a nod that the light that the Guardians use is not our own. We are merely conduits for the Traveler's light. And I have a huge theory about the metaphysics behind it, but we won't get into that just yet. But the other thing that stands out to me is if you've read the Eris 1 cards, Jacob Hardy, he makes a comment about being well versed in advanced mathematics and studying the slippery irreality of light. And that, to me, this is like a direct nod to, that guy, he's a warlock, because that's kind of exactly what this says that warlocks do. Is, they study the light and its inner mechanisms and then confront the unfathomable mysteries. So
In layman's terms, I kind of read this as Titans are kind of like the graduate students, Hunters are the undergrads, and the Warlocks are the professors. They're constantly learning, getting ready to teach everyone what to do or more things about the actual light. But it's a really interesting card. I like the picture that it does paint.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually...
I think that it's a Warlock's perspective, and that even the Warlocks have to admit that there's extreme discipline in being a Titan.
Yeah.
That's what I take from that card.
Hey, you had your week. You had your week. But
all right,
it's actually
fine.
Funny. It's funny.
Floof on.
Floof on. It's funny that you mentioned the Guardian being a conduit for the light, because the next card, which is the brand new Guardian subclass for the Warlock, is the Stormcaller. And it says Harmony Within, Hurricane Without, which is freaking awesome. I want that in Old English tattooed somewhere. But meditate, focus, draw the static from within. The arc is inside all life. You must feel it take hold. Let it flow through, but not consume you. You are a conduit between sky and earth, electricity and matter, life and death. You are a weapon. And there you go. Conduit confirmed. You're welcome, Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this kind of confirms my whole belief system is about the mechanics of light and the Traveler, as the light flowing from an area of high potential at the Traveler to an area of low potential, us, and then making the circuit and returning to the Traveler. And you're constantly conducting this light.
Right.
You're not. I know there's a lot of times we'll use possessive language regarding the light. His light is draining. This is that.
Right. I was going to say, even in the Stormtrance card that goes with the Stormcaller card, it says your light.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they fluctuate but at the same time, we're undead. So we don't really have light because we're already dead. I view light, we've talked about this a lot. Light is kind of like an animating force. And as a dead creature, you naturally wouldn't have light. You have to have it given to you, which I think is what, you're definitely more versed in electricity than I am. So
I would hope so.
I would, yeah.
No, but it's actually funny. It says the arc is inside all life. And that's actually really true, because if you just break it down all the way to electrical impulses in your nervous system, that is a very true statement. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of view the arc subclasses as being more of the more natural subclasses other than, catching yourself on fire. Because you actually do have some electricity in your body.
Right. Well, and everyone does, like even from the brain synapses, which is
action potentials.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But I mean,
study microbiology. That's why.
Oh, nice. But like, I know that was one of the theories as to why we don't remember the life before we were resurrected, was because the synapses had been so deteriorated that they couldn't be recovered. And so you don't have the capability of, rerouting those synapses because they've just been lost through degradation of the material, the biological material that is the Guardian's body. So, but yes.
I do like that last sentence says you are a weapon, because when I think about before we had the Stormcaller, when it was just those Voidwalkers and Sunsingers, I always felt like the Sunsinger was there as kind of like a safety net, obviously because of Fireborn. Whereas Voidwalkers would kind of pick and choose their targets because of their either tracking Axiom Bolts and their Nova Bombs. They have to be really selective. Whereas when the Stormcaller, when they channel that energy, they just wreck everything in their path.
Yes, they do.
Whether it's on the battlefield or whether it's, in PvP or whether it's in fighting the darkness. They are a weapon.
Wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Stormcaller is definitely like one of the best classes to use right now, because when you get that super, you're pretty much a lawnmower, and the grass is guardians, and you just stroll on through and destroy everything. I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty fun to be a Sith Lord, which is how I look at it.
Unless you're in the Crucible and you run into a Titan Striker who's saving his super.
I think there's isn't there a term for that?
Can I say it?
Yes.
People get mad at me on Twitter this week when I said, why does everyone use their Fist of Panic as a defensive? And I got a million tweets yelling at me saying, I use it offensively. And I'm like, because I feel like every time I use my squishy Blade Dancer, because that's pretty much what I use for PvP. That's why, I use Voidwalker for PvPs, because I'm usually not Fist of Panicked. I'm usually Fist of Havoc, meaning that they got me, okay? Whereas when I throw my Nova Bomb, I don't have to worry about that. But Stormcaller, I get shut down. As soon as they hear the thunder from above, that striker is running right for me, and I'm dead.
So if landfall doesn't get them, you're screwed, is what I'm getting from that.
I got to make sure I have those impossible machines on, of course.
Yeah. It's definitely very disconcerting to be inside an electrical storm when it starts. So
yeah,
it bothers me quite a great deal. It's not that it's overpowered that I'm salty about it. It's just I don't like being electrocuted over and over again. Between Striker Titans and his damn Stormcallers, it's getting ridiculous. So,
but
no, go ahead.
On a good note, when it comes to, it feels good when I'm doing strikes and I go forth with my Stormcaller and just can clear a whole room of ads. If there's, so like in the Tanix room, when you get to I think it's the second room where he's in the middle of it, it's great to just clear everything out. So if you're with other Guardians that are different subclasses, they can just focus damage on Tanix himself to get him to teleport again. So I love it in PvE. Yeah.
I bet it's good for Prison Elders too. When super kills. Yeah. I was running a hunter, and I would literally, I'd either have 3 shots in my, Night Stalker, and have one that lasted a long time. I was like, this is not the best time to be a hunter.
Well, we went as Blade Dancer for that week because you had the.
I guess I didn't think about it.
Yeah, we would stack supers with Blade Dancer, Stormcaller, and the Funbreakers, as I used to call them. But now they used to be Funbreakers until they got a little bit of a nerf. Now they're Sunbreakers again. But yeah, we would just be throwing hammers, blading them with our Blade Dancers, and then Stormcalling just all the ads, just making orbs for everybody.
Yeah, I gotta stop being so.
Sunbreakers were fine the way they were.
Oh God.
Here we go. Here we go.
As soon as I would get that hammer pop, I would turn right around and go run in the other direction, and I would hear the hammer.
I get one shot so many times in PvP. No.
Tang tang, tang tang.
Yeah, I literally just went back to orbit and go. Ting! My fire team would be pissed.
Hunters have it well this week in Mayhem Clash because I actually tweeted out it was comical how many times I heard trip mines going off in Mayhem Clash this week, as well as how many times I got killed by golden guns.
Oh, yeah.
One after the other. Even if you pop your super, your Stormcaller's Sunbreaker, that golden gun's got its. You're dead instantly from that thing.
Yes. Well, the super from the Stormcaller that we're speaking so much of is actually called the Storm Trance.
Right. And, I thought it was called Lawnmower.
No, it's not Lawnmower. It's not Lawnmower. I'm sure I looked it up.
The Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yes. And it says, focus your light to call forth a powerful arc storm and siphon it, channeling lightning through your fingertips to send it surging between your targets. A Warlock in Storm Trance is exercising such unbreakable focus that the arc energy they summon draws them off the ground, the air humming and crackling around them. Like lightning, you bend your path forward through the air, striking down anything too slow to escape the storm.
You know what's really cool is, so as most people probably who watch me putz around and stream know, I've been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Season 2, I just got through Season 2 and they introduced a character who actually has electric static capabilities, and he actually just did this. Like, he actually just flew using electrostatic manipulation to hover. It was a really, really cool scene because I was like, the entire time I was watching, I was like, oh God, run.
Stormcaller.
He's gonna mow you all down. Get out of there now. So.
Yeah. But finally, the Warlock has its panic subclass because in year 1, it was Blade Dancer. When a Blade Dancer popped, you'd be yelling, Blade Dancer, Blade Dancer, Blade Dancer, Blade Dancer, and just run. No one yelled Nova Bomb, Nova Bomb, Nova Bomb, Nova Bomb, and ran because, about the time you saw it, you were over. Yeah, it was over. Yeah. And, but now there's finally that shock and awe subclass for the Warlocks.
Literally, shock and awe.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Great. Actually, that's perfect. I don't think you could call it anything else because, I mean, when you see that Stormcaller, you're like, holy Batman. And you just run for your life. At least I do. Like, unless I do have, like Sean said, a Striker Titan. If I've got my Fist of Havoc available, oh yeah.
I'm kind of sad that they don't have a shock and awe ability on there.
It should be called shock and awe. Something should be called
pulse wave, feedback, transcendence.
It should, because I mean, I've gotten that's actually the Guardian. Even though I'm a Titan enthusiast, it was my Warlock that I got my Slayer with.
Man, this week is just weird. Bife is going for Titans and Willy's going for Warlocks.
Man.
No.
I did start.
No. I did not say that. I am complimenting the class, yes. That does not mean I'm rooting for him.
So basically, I need to go wash my mouth out.
Titans
is what I just got told.
You should.
Same team, man. Same team.
No. Titans are
frank,
definitely the top notch. Like, have you even Hammer Titan? You done it? Oh,
I stick with Hammer Striker.
It's so glorious. Like, me and a couple friends, we did. All 3 of us were Titans. 2 of us were Hammer Titans. 1 was a Defender, and we just made orbs for days and just destroyed everything in Challenge of Elders, which I don't think anybody's really had a problem with Challenge of Elders since it came out, right?
I wouldn't know. I haven't tried it yet.
Nah.
You did you just say you have not tried?
So,
Challenge
but speaking of the solar energies, let's talk about Sunsingers.
Speaking of solar energies, yes, we do have the Sunsinger, which is the most annoying class when it comes down to trials
of Osiris. But don't you just love getting the medal that says "and stay down"?
And stay down, yeah.
I love that.
When I shoot my mans, I like them to stay down.
But one thing I forgot to mention, when I see a Stormcaller coming after me, I just start doing my just do it emote because I know there's no running. I just start doing the emote. I accept my fate. You're going to fry me like Emperor Palpatine. I'll take
You would
death.
think you'd be able to get some verticality and get away from them.
All right, here we go again. There are flames that even the darkness cannot extinguish. These are dark times. Humanity stands on the brink of extinction. We will carry a fire that the darkness, a beacon to guide the way, and a pyre to consume our great enemy. The light saved us from death and forged us into weapons. We seek to understand it, to embrace it, to consume and be consumed by it. We hope to become radiant. Our fellow guardians need our power. Our civilization needs our strength. Which pretty much says, hey, raid's about to end. Oh, there's the Sunsinger.
The masters of soloing everything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they can solo orcs. That is the only subclass that I'm aware of that can solo orcs right now.
Because even when we do Nightfalls, we always have to, we say to ourselves, even though they're not that difficult anymore, but we always try to spec it out to have one Defender Titan, one Night Stalker. I always have to have one Sunsinger because that when you get to the end, it's the only one that's going to come back to life. But it makes it boring for that Warlock because I'm not using my super the whole time. I'm not Nova Bombing things. I'm not Storm Trancing things. I'm just basically there as kind of like a safety net so that I need to come back to life when we all wipe.
Mm-hmm. Well, but I mean, speaking of Radiance, Willie, you want to take that card real quick before we kind of talk? Because Radiance, the kind of cool thing is like Radiance has been used mostly just for that Phoenix-like ability, but there's actually, I think it was actually designed to be more of actually kind of a support class.
It was, and that was the thing for a lot of the hunter enthusiasts, was there was not a support class for the hunters for a long time.
That
There is now.
I'm just gonna say you're.
So, do you want to tackle the Radiance card real quick?
Yes, sir. Radiance. Open yourself to the light. Glimpse. For a few rapturous moments, truth beyond the powers you wield. A warlock in the state of radiance threatens to slip the bonds of the material, shrugging off physical harm, channeling a torrent of abilities. Some may learn to elevate nearby guardians, gifting them with the power. Others, entranced by the ghost power to reach beyond death, may learn to pluck themselves out of nothingness like the phoenix of the ancient myth, which tells you that, granted, most people that use Radiance, they're using self-res, especially, once again, in Trials of Osiris. But you can use it for more than just that. You can use it to get your other guardians.
Yeah, because you have Song of Flame.
They're supers faster.
Song of Flame, too.
And Radiant Skin, I think, was the other one.
Yeah, I mean, in PvP,
Radiant Skin makes it where you're kind of buffed with armor, but
yeah, because if you use Radiant Skin along with the Heart of Praxic Fire, where you have so many nades and you rush into a group of enemies. See, a lot of times I don't use Fireborn in PvP because of the fact that I'm going to get team shot, I'm going to get killed really quickly. But if I use it for Radiant Skin, instead rush them, pop it with Heart of Praxic Fire, it's really tough to take me down because, of course, I'm combining it with Viking Funeral and Touch of Flame and just throwing grenades and meleeing. And, of course, we get that overshield when you do get that melee contact, which makes it it can be, as much as we scream defensive when it comes to Sunsinger, it can be very, very offensive as opposed to just waiting to self-res in Trials of Osiris or just waiting for the end of a strike if you need that one Sunsinger to self-res when everyone else is wiped.
Yeah, and the other cool thing, Sunsinger to me is so interesting just because, not because of game mechanics, but actually because of the lore behind the Sunsingers, mostly because of the Thanonauts. But also because of Pajari's visions and stuff like that. I mean, and Osiris, because he definitely was predominantly viewed as a sun singer, I think. The lore behind sun singers is just such a fascinating. The radiance alone is just so interesting from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah.
So, you want to real quick round it out and go over the Voidwalker?
My favorite.
There you go. Why don't you take the Voidwalker?
Okay, sure. Those who have stared into the void are not bound by the laws of space and time. The traveler came out of the void that surrounds all things. Thus, we know that the void is full of power. Thus, we enter the void without fear. Small minds will call your abilities blasphemous. They will compare you to the abominable wizards of the hive, but you will not be held back. Gifted by the traveler's light, armed with the secret physics of a lost age, you will tear reality asunder. You will fear nothing, and nothing will not fear you. Voidwalker is by far my favorite class. I think I was the only one in PvP using it since day one with Void Fang Vestments, Vortex Mastery, Annihilate, and Axiom Bolts, I think.
Oh, I hate those.
The Liam Neesons?
Yeah, Neesons. Oh, those are awful. Anything that will follow you around a corner is...
Oh, and with Void Fang Vestments, those things, they'll split off into 3, and they'll follow you forever.
Not if you Shade Step. You can dodge them with Shade Step.
Oh, you can, okay.
I'm pretty sure. I think you can. If they're anything like... the other thing is like... The thing that, real quick, just a random note on that card, the whole small minds will call your abilities blasphemous. There's a quote that always brings to mind, and it's from Eleanor Roosevelt. It's the great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people. Like, I don't know why, but every time I read that card, that's the quote that I'm like, that just comes to my mind every single time. I'm like, why? It's just so. There's your trivia for tonight.
That's a pretty good one. No, actually, when I think Warlock, I think Void. Just because there's that image of the Warlock staring into the void and almost going crazy.
Which is also another awesome quote.
Yes, yeah. And that's an Osiris quote, is it not?
No, Nietzsche.
Okay.
If you stare into the abyss, because the abyss stares back into you. And be careful that when you hunt monsters, you don't become a monster yourself.
I see. But I thought Osiris said that.
Yeah, he paraphrases it, I think. But the other cool thing about the Voidwalker is they speak about entering and stepping into the void, which is really interesting when you compare it to, the hunter, the Night Stalker for the Duskbow, where they talk about punching a hole into it and like grabbing a fistful of the void energy and pulling it back. It's kind of more of a, we don't really care how this works. We're just going to steal some of this and use it. And the Voidwalker is more of a, it's again, going back to that more intellectual kind of, learning the, what they call the secret physics and, using that knowledge to tear reality apart. It's just, which we'll talk about a little bit here. There's a quote from there's a really cool quote from the melee attack, but real fast, do you want to run on the Nova Bomb? Speaking of the tearing things asunder.
Nova Bomb. Channel the Traveler's light into a bolt of energy with the power of a collapsing star. Well, that's how powerful it is, huh? The devastating Nova Bomb scours the battlefield with ethereal fire. But be careful in its use. It takes precious moments to summon, and it must be aimed precisely to avoid obstacles. I have done plenty of Mesa fail Nova Bombs in my day. I'm like, did I just waste my super just now?
I think that's just void in general because, again, going back to the hunter, that shadow shot is not an easy thing to hit.
It's not.
Well, at least you haven't done the infamous Fist of Bubble. That's where
I have.
You jump over a group of ads and go, take this, and drop a bubble, and then you all sit down in the bubble and you have tea. I've done that a couple times because I don't run a Titan very often. So just a little science, just from out of nowhere. Well, not really out of nowhere, but a nova, as pretty much everyone knows, is a nuclear explosion that's associated with a dying star. And it causes a sudden brightening of the star. I'm trying to see anywhere where I can see a purple one. Ooh, there's a pretty good one. But yeah, it's actually a natural phenomenon.
Well, and then, in chat, just real quick, they're talking about looking into the nova bomb vortex, like, the thing that gets left behind. And it's like, Sparty for you in chat saying it's like you can see the stars through it. And it also, I know we talked a little bit about this when we were talking about the 9, but you remember the sigil that Xur has on the tower? The little
yes.
thing. If you look at it from the side, it actually looks really similar to a Nova Bomb's vortex. So, which actually makes me think that it's, it's void light graffiti. Xur is dirtying the tower up with his graffiti, and Rusty hasn't gotten around to cleaning it for the weekend.
It makes sense. And actually, if you look at the card for Nova Bomb, it's got an image, and he's spot on. You can definitely see what looks like a little miniature galaxy inside that little storm of purple.
Well, and the other cool thing is, Bungie had the art stream today, and they were talking about the concept art for the final form of Oryx. And they kind of showed his wings as having a very similar look on them as this. It was actually a really cool aspect. They also talked about the Warlock logo, but they just said nothing about what it meant. I was very disappointed.
Did they talk about how big a pain in the ass it is to make?
Yeah. So just real fast, for those who missed it, it was really kind of funny. The gentleman who designed all this, he said that actually the Hunter, the Titan, and the Warlock logo, when he put those all together, he wanted to make sure that they looked good as a tattoo. That was because he knew that was going to be like, he was saying like it's going to be one of the most popular images, and he's like, I need to make this. So he's like, I know people are going to get tattoos of it. So he studied tattoo art before he designed those. Yeah, it was a pretty nice little trivia session.
Actually, funnily enough, it might be my favorite of the 3. I don't know. I do like the Hunter one, but
I like the Hunter, which is yeah.
Titan Masterclass.
Oh God!
Had to sneak that one in.
Come on. With that, Willy, with that face palm, do you want to take the Warlock melee?
Yeah, I suppose I could take the Warlock melee. You're talking about the fact that they use their palms all the time.
High five.
Which high five to your face.
What the 5
Whereas,
in the face? Slap.
Hunters like to use knives. Of course, Titans a fist
or the shoulder or the knee or the head.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. No, only one used his head. And anyway, the Guardian melee abilities for the palm. Curiosity gets a Warlock into trouble, and Force of Will gets it a Warlock out. Even novices can sheer reality with a single deadly gesture, which that is the thing that Warlocks do. They use their palm, but they still get an extra 50-foot worth of reach with whatever ability they have, especially the Stormcallers. Like when you have that extra reach perk, oh my god, dude.
Well, and so the reason I actually tossed this into the show notes is because when we were talking about just in general Guardians and Light, one of the things that kept coming up was the fact that we use rituals to summon the paracausal capabilities that we call, supers, which is basically the creation of nothing from something, or something from nothing. Gosh, man, it's been a long day. So, but the cool thing is the way I read this is that it actually kind of has a lore explanation as to why they can just like touch you with a palm and deal so much damage, is because basically that gesture that they do is a summoning ritual for a
But they
blast
don't
of
touch
light.
you.
No, but it's okay. So neither does
they
a
hit
golden
you from
gun,
15 feet away.
but neither does a golden gun. A golden gun doesn't necessarily touch you, but it's
that's a super.
Right,
Talking
this is a
melees.
minor super. So this is a lore explanation of why the
Yes.
Warlocks have
All right,
a
fine.
freaking
Fair enough.
football field reach.
It's ridiculous, damn it.
Willy's just mad he can't reach the top shelf with his Titan. He's been eyeballing those Oreos for a while.
Earlier in chat, I
Listen.
saw someone say that that they had been on Reddit and the small arm buff should be applied to the Titans melee.
Oh, wow. All the Titan hate. Should have expected it. Should have expected it.
No Titan hate.
It wasn't Titan hate; it was just an observation of the lack of reach.
It is ridiculous because, I mean, Titans are supposed to be the most physical, when it comes to the 3 classes.
You are,
And
you just don't have very
Warlocks,
long
no.
arms.
But don't you have ice skates on? I'm kidding.
Bless
It's
it.
very brawny.
Really? Oh, that happened.
Well, okay, let's use that as a segue. You want to talk about the capability of fighting in the Crucible, right? Well, one of our recent playlists that we got added was actually derived from the Warlocks quote unquote think tank, and that would be Rift, which, I think, Sean, I'm going to let you take this card because I believe that this is one of your more
By far,
favored.
favorite game mode. I'm still praying for Iron Banner Rift to come back, but
Jesus.
when I tweet that out, I would say, much to people's chagrin, I want it back, and no one else seems to, because it was the most fun Iron Banner I had. And this is off lore topic, but if they want to turn Destiny into an esport, if you throw in 2 competitive pro teams, 6v6, playing Rift with a shoutcaster, I think that would be epic. Everyone would watch that if you had someone screaming over it. And we got 6 Trez, and he's going, and he just dodged a Titan. He skated right underneath him. He's going in for and he just got a 3-piece on the spark. I think, okay, Rift. Warlocks may be thinkers, but most I know can hold their own, says Lord Shax. 6v6, cyclical, objective-based team combat. Battle to capture the spark and run it into your enemy's rift to score. Hunt down the runner and shut them down to reset the spark and attempt a new run. In trying times, the Vanguard must look inward for new ways to prepare Guardians for the threats that face the city. The newest introduction to the Crucible came about when a little-known experimental Warlock focus exercise was discovered by Akura Ray and modified as a sanctioned training drill for all varieties of the light. The highest members of the Warlock Order are too proud to acknowledge it, but it's clear a few resented giving up their private game of light sport. Anything in the name of the Traveler, of course. But if there's anything a Warlock loves, it's a good secret.
It is a fun game mode, and I wish at the beginning of it a Warlock would actually come out and conjure up the rift and the spark, and you could actually see that happen.
I just remember the first times playing it when you had all of Lord Shax's new voiceover dubs, and you grab it, and he'd get your heart racing. He's like, "You've got the spark, run, Guardian!" And
What?
you start to get panicky, like, "Okay, where do I go?" And then if I'm playing solo, I'm looking around. Okay, guys, I'm going to the left. Come follow me,
Please,
I'm going to the left.
follow me.
Please stay over there, But yeah,
Because were you in the first group that played it at Bungie?
yeah. I went to the capture event for it.
Yeah, I think I remember watching that.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It looked awesome.
Well, and using the concept of secrets, let's talk about my favorite Warlock, Osiris. And this is, yes, I will admit I use every excuse I can to get the Osiris card into a conversation because it's just that awesome. But it also is really telling for Warlocks because it starts out with the rather famous question: what drives a Warlock to madness? Ghosts choose those suited to war and heroism to be reborn. By nature or circumstance, they go to battle against the darkness, and through this battle, they learn how to use the light. But Warlocks, by their nature, fight a second internal war. This is the war to understand a universe of secrets, a world that expects Guardians to fight without full knowledge of what they are or what they might hope to achieve. You were a mighty warrior. I watched you at Six Fronts, and heeded the call of Saint 14 to appoint you Vanguard Commander, even when the Concordat claimed to have records proving you were a Golden Age experiment misincarnated as a human by an inept ghost. Saint 14 assured me you were just a man without much patience for obfuscation. I watched as you grew tired of strike missions and the grueling, unproductive sessions with the Cryptarchs. That was when I took you under my wing. I saw our future in you. But your curiosity was voracious. How much of a Guardian's personality and memories were true? How much had been fabricated by their ghost? Did Guardians share particular personality traits? A willingness to yield to authority, a tendency to do anything anyone asked for the promise of uncertain reward, a blind knight-errant mentality. Had the Traveler manufactured all of you as living weapons? I admit, I found your questions divisive and disloyal, and I feared you might be capable of breaking our unity when the city's position had grown so tenuous. Why divert attention away from the Traveler, our only hope? And then it got worse. Dabbling in Thanatonautics, Ahamkara lore, chasing after Zur and the tricks of the Nine, launching expeditions into the reef and beyond at a time when ships were irreplaceable. Your quest split Guardians along ideological lines. This was your greatest crime. Hunters chose to pursue your visions instead of protecting refugees. Titans assembled teams to chase the legendary Vault of Glass instead of striking the Fallen. And Warlocks turned away from the study of the Traveler in favor of your ultimate obsession, learning the exact nature of the darkness. When debate became argument, and argument became acrimony, I realized you had already begun a cult of personality, attracting Guardians who wanted a clear idea of why they were fighting, what they faced, and how they would ultimately win. I don't know where you have gone, but I can no longer sing ghosts out to find you. Some come back, with tales of your death or how you went seeking answers from far reaches of space and time, that you found a way to explore the Vex Gate networks, that you've made breakthrough after breakthrough as to their origins, theories that a Guardian could not be simulated, that the Traveler might be an ontoformer or a god incubator, that the Vex had diverged into multiple groups in order to secure an end state for every possible configuration of reality. I fear you have become as obsessed with the Vex as Toland was with the Hive. I've heard your own insane prophecies about pits and dead Hive kings, and of Crota, which I now cannot deny. I hear stories of Lord Shax meeting with fire teams of Warlocks who have no shadow and who never blink, of jump ships slipping into the reef on cold trajectories and meeting no intercept, of questions hidden in matter engrams and answers decrypted on distant battlefields. Perhaps you are still out there. If this reaches you, I would very much like to speak with you, to hear your theories in your own words. Perhaps what drives a Warlock to madness is truth. So, long card, very long card. Tons to, take and go with what you want. Still love the actual breaking of the fourth wall in Osiris's accusations against the Cryptarchs and the strikes and the RNG. But, this is very telling because it seems that this is also a very strong theme for Warlocks in general. We've always kind of assumed that the player character, outside of game, player characters obviously pick based off their playstyles. But in game, the individual Guardians seem to gravitate towards specific classes based off the philosophies of how they approach an issue. The Hunters kind of are the more loners the Titans are the more militaristic and disciplined, and the Warlocks are the ones that usually kind of stand back and study and try to figure out exactly what's going on. And so it's interesting to me too, because he has become so obsessed with this abstract form of the truth that he is ignoring the reality of where he lives. It seems that's kind of what that message, and that's where the madness starts creeping in for me. So I'm gonna let you guys toss your thoughts into that, because I need a drink of water at this point.
It just all points to how we as Warlocks, we're scientists. We're magical. We're elegant. We're always trying to study everything, as opposed to the hunters. Or I always kind of feel like the Titans and the Titans are the brute force going forward. The hunters are staying their distance and killing things from with precision, with stalking things, and the Warlocks are the smarter ones who are kind of staying back and picking and choosing where they're going to go and how they're going to best suit their fire team.
Yeah, the hunters are the scalpel, Titans are the sledgehammer, and the Warlocks are the magnifying glass.
Yep.
There you go. But really, on the whole thing about Osiris being out of touch or going mad, I actually kind of lean the other way. That someone who understands best the actual nature of things might seem, crazy to the rest of us who don't have a clue, but
smaller minds, right?
Yeah. Given his understanding of things, his actions are completely justified and completely rational, is the way I view Osiris.
Right, because I think
not like I view Toland. Toland's like slipping into madness. I think Osiris just is he's on another level than us. He's operating by a different set of rules.
Right, because I think was it the Osiris episode that we talked? It might have been the Osiris episode that we were talking about, like how he operates on a different playing field. Like his big picture is comprised of so much more than what we perceive. And I think that's why, to us, it's a game of checkers compared to Osiris's 4-dimensional chess.
Yeah. He's got the chess with the, from the Big Bang Theory with the levels, with all the different levels.
And he's playing through a Vex time gate, so, that's an added level. But yeah, okay, so I mean, I feel like the Osiris card does a lot to explain exactly kind of the thought process behind what Warlocks, kind of were built off of as a philosophical class. Like this is what you should, when you play a Warlock, if you're actually looking at it from a story perspective, this is kind of what Warlocks form. And that's there's the fact also that they were based, I can't remember the interview, but they were based very loosely off Jedi Knights and then Morpheus from the Matrix. That was kind of the combination. And then really interesting fact, I didn't know this. It made perfect sense as soon as I read it. But from that same interview, the cloaks that the Warlocks wear, those are actually based off the trench cloaks from World War One. That is actually the aesthetic design that was inspired by. So
it's not a sundress?
It's not a sundress. That is kind of, I was going to try not to say that because I'm going to get yelled at. But yes, it is not a sundress. It is actually...
I actually see that now. I can picture that.
Yeah.
Is that, I don't know what they called that.
It's a trench coat? Not a trench coat. It was basically...
No, it literally is a trench coat.
Right, yeah. But it's the... because in World War One, they were fighting very beginning of chemical warfare and mustard gas and stuff like that, and so they had a layered uniform for a lot of the trench soldiers, and that was often the gas mask that the hunter has was actually pretty close to what they actually wore. I always harken back to the Doctor Who's Your Mummy episode, because that's the mask. But that was as soon as they said that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So another useless trivia for you guys.
I like it.
I love it.
But I think now not all warlocks are Osiris level of curiosity.
Yeah,
I think that's worth noting too. You've got the Praxics who really could, and we'll get into that when we talk about Ariana a little bit. But they really couldn't give a crap what the nature of everything is. They just want to kill.
Yeah, they just wanted to blow it up.
They just want to shoot the mans. That's all. So yeah, there's I think there's varying levels of warlockiness, if that's a word. But are you done with Osiris?
Yeah. I mean, no, but
no, never.
I'm gonna not talk about it anymore.
Okay. Wow. Is that a promise? Did we get that on
for this episode?
Okay.
For this episode.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, unless you say something and I think of something, which will probably happen.
Okay. So we also with TTK got a Crucible map called the Cauldron, and it's got a pretty curious quote from our site 9940. Every inch of this place feels wrong, tainted. It makes your light itch. Just ignore it and keep firing. So the area
location on this one.
Yeah, the area designation is the Cauldron. The location is the dark side of the moon.
Pink Floyd.
It's yeah. So is it constantly moving? So the Warlock's most lucid theories assert this crumbled husk of a hive ritual site is one of many ceremonial transmorgification chambers hewn beneath the moon's crust, now secured and maintained by the Crucible. Scheduled study of its remnants suggests a sacrificial purpose, where other forms of life were given an audience with the reigning monarch and judged before the power of the darkness. So this almost seems like one of the places where the sword logic was literally doled out.
It's almost like a court of Crota.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm getting. But what does our site know about his light itching? He's a frame.
Well, he says your light. Well, no, I guess that's true. That's a good point.
That's a weird one. It's a weird one. I like that. I'm going to say that from now on. When something bothers me in game, I'm going to say it makes my light itch.
There's worse things you could say, so we will hold you to that. But yeah, no, that's an interesting. Unless, well, because I have a lot of theories. Because we know light isn't a strictly biological requirement. Because exos don't really have, as far as we know, don't have a really big biological component. There's arguments back and forth whether or not the brain or if there's actually organs within them, but the exos are able to harness light, and they're basically war machines. So, I have that theory that light is an animating force. So technically everything has light. It's just how much light they have, because we know that everything has light because of the thorn cards, right? Because, he kills the three bandits to feed his light. Now, there's the argument that those three bandits, well, no, they weren't guardians, actually, because I was going to say there's the argument that they were part of the hunting party, but even the hunting party wasn't guardians. It was just kids. So we have a nod that people who are not guardians still have some light to them. Which makes sense if you think of light as an animating force and not a soul necessarily, but a spirit, which is it's a Aristotelian difference. But the soul is more of like a conscience, or a consciousness, or a conscious thought process, the self, and then the spirit is the fuel. That's what you use to move through the world. And so if you look at light as the spirit, the animalistic spirit, then it would make sense that everything has light. Plants have light, animals have light. And that kind of anima is what that's called. So, I mean, I guess that would kind of make sense. And if he's talking, I don't know, like there's also the fact, like within Destiny, there are so many different uses of the same word. Like we have light, and then we have uppercase light, and then lowercase light. We have uppercase darkness. We have lowercase darkness. There's, you have to be really careful with what you, I don't know.
This conversation makes my light itch.
Yeah. Don't do that.
that whole uppercase, lowercase thing. I swear.
And then, so I mean, and that's pretty much the brunt of Grimoire cards that talk about warlocks. Now there are tons of equipment and armor and weapons that we're going to link the mind map to this show notes, because we could sit here and read quotes from every single one of this armor and these weapons, and like especially the artifacts. There's some really fun artifacts. Like we could read those and it would take us an hour probably, because I would probably want to discuss each one for about 5 minutes to 10 minutes.
Are you going to include blues in that? Because if we include blues,
yes,
that's like a 3 episode.
There are. So we have broken them out on armor. We have broken them out into common, uncommon, rare, like basically the layers. And we've tried to only incorporate ones that actually were applicable to the generic like description of what a warlock was. Like, so it's not everything, but it's a pretty good view of what's out there. The artifacts were especially fun. The Thanatonauts Lullaby and the Flammel Crest were one of my favorites, just because Flammel was... There's a lot of trivia behind some of these. For example, Flammel was the supposed creator of the Philosopher's Stone in reality, in our world. And so he was actually supposedly one of the grand alchemists of our world. And the flavor text is anything can be anything else if only you will it so. And so it's just one of those really, really kind of cool artifacts. And that explains like the process of forcing your will and forcing, the world around you to bow to your will a little bit. And yeah, giant shout out to Unisys on this mind map. He's spent a good amount of time on this one in particular, structuring it. So we really appreciate that. With that being said, do you want to just jump into the known warlocks? Because I have a feeling we're going to spend some time on some of these.
Yeah. Let's hit it.
So we're just going to run through these alphabetically. And we'll try to note which ones we know are like the status of them. So the first one is Albios. This warlock is dead. We don't, Justin, do you want to jump in, or anyone jump in if you guys want, if I say a name and you want to take it from me? Because I've already kind of beaten the warlock that I care about. So Albios was a warlock who traveled to Venus, and most of what we know from him actually comes from a blue set of armor. I believe it's blue. The blue set of armor, and I'm trying to find it right now because I remember the story, but I don't know what the quote is. But basically, he went to Venus in search for Ahamkaras, and was there's a book that's basically the 5 Lives of Albios. And I'm going to pretend like I know what I'm talking about here.
No, actually, what you're looking for, Blue, it's on a blue warlock gauntlet called the Salacin Fin.
That's yeah. God, man.
It's an excerpt from the 5 Lives of Albios.
Albios, yes.
And it says it wasn't until his 5th life that the Ahamkara spoke to him. By then, it was too late.
Which we had an awesome theory from the chat. If you look at the oh gosh, I'm going to butcher this theory, but it was a really, really cool one. There's a way to read the Ahamkaras as a personification of the self in, I want to say it's Buddhism, but was it Hinduism or I can't remember. One of the more Zen focused religions that focuses on losing the self. And the Ahamkara is actually the self, and there is a process through which through meditation, you lose your sense of self, and you become kind of transcendent. And if you look at the Ahamkara as kind of that what's called solipsistic flatteries, which is what they're accused with, which is the emphasis of the self above all. If you look at them as a personification or an actualization of the concept of egocentrism, then what this is literally saying is that by the time the Ahamkara showed up, Albios has already transcended the focus of his self and has reached this transcendent state. And it was a really cool, and I'll try to get it worked into the notes somehow. I am working really hard to archive all our chat history or our chats, so I'm gonna get those archived and then get that shared out to everybody so you can actually see the madness in action. Because some of these theories I will butcher because I'm trying to remember them at the spur of the moment, and I do not have the brain capacity to keep up with some of this stuff. So. But, so yeah, that was, I mean, Albios is, we know that we're pretty sure he's dead. He was known for the Venus, I guess that would be not really exile, but he went to Venus to be by himself and to find himself. And then the next one is, I think it's Almir?
Yes.
and no, go for it.
No, I was going to say, we don't know
anything
on Alamir other than on the Taken King Samsara legendary chest for the Warlock. He's just quoted as saying, "It is the lonely thing to live forever."
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I could theorize about that.
Yeah, well, you could literally just go anywhere with
it. I mean, immortality has always been, in literature, especially you read like Frankenstein, Dracula, any of the supernatural ancient stories or myths about immortal creatures. It's always lonely. A lonely existence is always one of the common threads between those. And as guardians, we technically are pretty much immortal as long as we have ghosts. We are liches. We are not zombies. But and
I've actually got something cool on that one though.
Go for it.
Actually, samsara is a Sanskrit word that means wandering or world, with the connotation of cyclic, circuitous change. Yeah, and it it gets better. It gets better. It also refers to the theory of rebirth and the cyclicality of all life. So do with that what you will. But that kind of fits the whole theme, the wandering, kind of lost loneliness of immortality.
Right. And then you also have like the Batuta armor, who we kind of talked about. When did we talk about that? A while back. But
yeah.
Iba Batuta has been heralded as one of the most famous travelers in the history of mankind because he just kind of went everywhere. It was a really kind of a cool nod to him. So I'm assuming that's something similar there as well. But needless to say, we do not know the fate of Alamir. The next one is Brother Vance. And the interesting thing about Brother Vance is he's a former warlock. He's no longer a warlock. most of us will recognize this individual for his vendor status within the Trials of Osiris. He's the one that you either are very happy to see or very don't care.
I'm always
not a warlock.
happy to
What
see
is he?
yeah. Where did we get he was a warlock, though?
He says it.
Was that an NPC quote?
Yep, that is
Okay.
a quote of his.
Okay.
He says that he used to be a warlock, and then I can't. Hang on. Let me dig up the quote.
Yeah, and actually, guys, if y'all in chat, if you ever want any NPC quotes, check out destinypedia.com. You can type in a character's name, and everything they've ever said in game will be listed,
It's amazing.
which is a pretty cool tool.
It makes our job super easy.
Yeah. But yeah, I completely I glossed over that one, I guess. That
He
Vancy
says-
was a
He says, I used to be a warlock. Now I follow a different path. And then he also said, I am an old blind warlock, far from home. Perhaps we can talk. But he has an iPad, which is really confusing.
and he's blind.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
apparently has a digital braille, I think is the explanation that I've seen passed around a couple times. So yeah,
You can
he's-
buy the space magic. I think you can buy that.
Well, and then like in regards to that, he makes comments about how he can see better now that his physical sight has been removed, and how he offered it up in the trials, but was found. I think it was like he wasn't found worthy. So yeah, it was. He's an interesting. He's got a good amount of information on him. We learn a lot. There's a couple theories about Brother Vance. Some of them are pretty interesting. Some of them are kind of spin-foily. I think Justin might address some of those in a video one of these days.
One of these days. If I can ever get,
I think
Maybe-
my favorite one about Vance is that he's actually a splinter of Osiris. I think that's like one of my favorites of him. Is that's how Osiris knows what's going on with everybody, is because he's managed to multi-man himself
yeah.
into the universe.
Well, I think it'd be funny if he were all his disciples.
Which would be kind of odd, because we know there are females. So
Don't get hung up on that.
and then I'm gonna let you take the next one.
Yes, my favorite warlock of all. We already read the Ariana Bamf card where she tortured the witch to death and scattered the ashes. But Ariana 3 is a warlock of the Praxic Order. She was part of the Crotafire team, who unfortunately, met her end at the Death Singer with that conniving Toland.
Or as Chad has taken to calling him, Trolland.
Trolland, yes, that's pretty much. But I actually had a question regarding Ariana, and since I don't run a warlock, I had a warlock year one, but I rarely ran it. I would literally run my hunter twice for no rewards the second time instead of running my warlock. But is the heart of the Praxic Fire? That seems to me to be Ariana's chest. Like, not the body part, but her. That seems to be her article.
Her article.
Well, if you read the flavor text for
Right.
Heart of the Praxic Fire, in that last moment, she seemed as holy and luminescent as the sun, and I wish to be so brave. Then you go back to the Crota, the Crotafire team card, and I can't remember which card it is, when Toland's kind of recounting how everyone met their end in the fire team. And I believe he says, poor Ariana, she was so very bright at the end. It actually makes me think that the Heart of the Praxic Fire is Ariana's chess piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can see it. We also know, excuse me, we also know that she was a bearer of the cormorant.
Yeah, the cormorant seal. Which, don't even get me started on that. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Well, the cormorant. Gosh, I am going to butcher this word every single time.
So lovely.
From there's a Warlock head armor, helmet, whatever you want to call it. It's not a hood. It's a helmet. But it's the Cormorant Line 2, and it says, those of the Cormorant seal must prove themselves willing to give their lives to others. So it's a... and then the Cormorant Line 2 chest armor says, the most valiant among the Praxic Warlocks are honored with the Cormorant seal. So the Cormorant is definitely not an order within the Warlocks, but it's actually a badge of it's like a medal of valor, basically. You know, a silver, whatever. I'm not thinking metals right now, but it's a sign of this. This is a very, very brave and very, very other oriented Warlock. You know, you have Praxic Warlocks honor bravery and service over all else. So that's from the Cormorant Line leg armor. So the Praxic order was an order of Warlocks, and then within that Praxic order, the best of the best basically were given this Cormorant badge or mark. So
yeah, and actually, fun fact.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
You will listen to my fun fact, sir.
No.
You will have fun. You will have fun while you hear it.
Okay, all right.
No, a cormorant is actually a seabird.
Yes.
And that cormorant, what was it? The honor. There is is it a mark? Yeah, it's a Titan mark, which is odd, but it's a Titan mark called Honor of the Cormorant. And it actually has a double-headed bird on it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which I thought I was frantically trying to figure out what a cormorant was, if it had some sort of hidden meaning there.
Well, so I dug a little bit on the cormorant because I like these kind of cultural things. And it's something that I found was that many cultures consider the cormorant a symbol of nobility and indulgence, but more recently they are considered a good luck charm for fishermen, which is an interesting kind of thing because, like you said, it's a seabird. There's a very interesting, there's a kind of a intriguing twist to the cormorant figure or cormorant symbolism, in that John Milton used the cormorant as a portrayal of greed and deception within Paradise Lost, because he used the seabird, the cormorant, as Satan's disguise to enter Eden prior to his temptation of Eve. So Milton's use of the cormorant was actually different than the usual cultural symbolic nature of that creature. So... But yeah, so basically they're fishermen.
And it actually kind of looks like the same, or not the same, but a similar symbol is on the center crest of the Praxic Fire.
Right. Which would make kind of some sense as the double-headed. It's that crest. And, you know, it's again, kind of nodding back to the Bungie stream. They talked about some of the herald, the crest and heralds that they used to kind of inspire some of the stuff that they designed, and they were going for, like, they were talking about they were trying to enter into the science fantasy, the science fantasy more than the science fiction, and that was one of the images actually had the double-headed eagle on it. So, but yes, the cormorant is a very interesting, and it's interesting just simply because it's one of the few ones that we actually have information on.
Yes. Now, Ariana did have some sort of special affinity for Wei Ning, the exact nature of which we do not have just a whole lot of. We do know that Wei Ning's passing was devastating for her, and that it was her driving force. And I kind of always believed that after Wei Ning went at Mare Imbrium, that Ariana's trip into the Hellmouth with Toland was always going to be a one-way ticket. Like,
yeah, I got that feeling.
She was like literally a suicide bomber at that point. She was going to kill as many of them as she could, and she didn't care how she did it.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
So, do you want to jump to the liar of the pack?
Felwinter.
This is all. It's very irresponsible what you're doing there. We have no proof that Felwinter lied about anything.
He hid a sniper in a shotgun's body. Okay.
It got replaced by the party crasher. Or conspiracy theory, actually.
It was because it was a conspiracy theory.
It's a conspiracy theory about the Felwinter's lie. He told a lie, and there's a big conspiracy theory about it.
Are we really going to have a pun war on air?
No, we're not. Happening? We're not doing this. I regret everything. No, Felwinter, I think he's got some interesting flavor text, but really, there's not much known about him.
Yeah, he's an Iron Lord, so there's not jack. Oh, nothing on him.
It was more. I'm still in the opinion that he was a Voidwalker, just simply because the Iron Camelot hood. It says, "Forged in remembrance of Felwinter, he who stared into the void." And then it's a hood, so there's a lot of assumption that he was a Warlock, and then the void. Obviously, he's going to be a Voidwalker. That's where a lot of people kind of gravitate towards that. The other fun one is the Iron Bond, which is such knowledge is often deemed offensive. That doesn't make it untrue. He just strikes me as kind of this person who's like, you know what? Screw your political correctness. So.
Yeah, and that's going to be a recurring theme with a lot of these Warlocks.
It really does seem like that.
When your mind, it's almost like a genius. Someone with a genius IQ has so freaking little time for the little inane pleasantries that and the little rituals that we do to, kind of conform to what's acceptable for, interacting with other humans. And I just view these Warlocks as just having no time for any of that.
They don't have any time to explain?
Yeah, no time to explain.
It's just so simple.
Yeah, they're not going to cater to your ego, I guess.
Right.
What did Osiris call the speaker? Was it a drooling buffoon?
Did Osiris call them that, or Toland called it that?
Toland, yeah.
Troland had a few choice terms for the speaker. I mean, Brother Vance has a few, but I don't think we know Osiris. I mean, I assume Osiris taught Brother Vance the insults, but
yeah.
But yeah,
you want to talk? We can kind of maybe just touch on a few of these because there's just so little on them. We have Galita Tuyet, and she has some armor, I believe, is the only way we know about her. Is that correct?
We also know that she was the leader
the Tuyet Fire Team.
Yep, the Tuyet Fire Team, which is the Pocket Infinity connection. She was the person who apparently brought back. There's a Warlock artifact called the Oddly Colored Cube, and she brought that back, which actually introduced us to another character, and I cannot remember who that other character was, but it's another just a random character. And she also was one of the few Guardian, or the previous Guardian to ours, who Banshee had created a custom weapon for. And the Oddly Colored Cube, it's Desponia Core. Interesting note on Desponia is there's some mythological connection there. Hey, you started me down this path. In Greek mythology, this was the daughter of Demeter and Poseidon. She was the goddess of mysteries. And so it's just, we don't know anything about her. other than apparently she's important enough to have a quote on an oddly colored cube, which looks a lot like the cubes from the Pantheon map, which, we talked about a little bit in the Vex article.
Oh,
there's the Vex
ducks.
episode. The ducks.
The ducks,
as Bell calls them. Yeah, so Galidia, there's a connection there between Pocket Infinity. There's a theory that they were trying to recreate the Vex Mythoclass, and that's what they got themselves killed, because the Vex don't like people messing with their stuff, basically. So, and then we have Ikora, which we've already talked about. And then we have Lissa, which is a kind of a random warlock. There is, I think it's another one on the Samsara, and this is where we learned that her name was Lissa the Lighthearted. And the quote is, "I'm glad I can't remember. Start fresh, And then there's one other quote from Lissa, and it's pretty fun. It's the class item No Footprints, and it's gravity. Oh, that nuisance. I never bother with it. So she it seems like this warlock was quite literally a lighthearted jokester. That's all we know about Lissa. And then Osiris. I will strictly say that he is exiled, and he was the former Vanguard commander.
And he will be played by Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Oh, that is such a good... Okay, never mind. We're moving on. Pajari. We talked a lot about Pajari in the Light and Darkness episode. There's a lot of really cool little tidbits about Pajari. I'm still under the impression that Pajari was a sun singer because he was a Thantanaut. Or she, I guess, technically. He or she was a Thantanaut. And there's a lot of kind of really cool implications between being a sun singer and being named Pajari that we talked about in that episode as well. So you should check that one out. Scori was another Lord of Iron, and she also was, I would say, a sun singer, because, and we kind of talked about this with our Iron Banner episode, but there's a couple quotes that make it seem like she's a sun singer. There's the Iron Camelot Bond. It's it says that she who sang out the Iron Song, and then there's a lot of references between Scori and singing. There's an artifact, Scori's Dirge, where it says she sings of her lost companions. And then there's one Iron Bond. The old Iron Bond says, "Rise above so that you may lift those below." So there's a couple little nods to sun singers on that one. And then, we were kind of talking about this before the show. There's a new weapon that the PlayStation people get to play with that the Xbox people don't get to play with.
Freaking bullcrap.
Many people who play the game know what I'm talking about. It's the Zen Meteor. It's the new exotic sniper rifle. It's got dynamite on a laser beam, so you can't go wrong with that one. But there is a reference to a warlock who is known as the Stoic on that item. And basically, there's really nothing really known about it. We do get introduced to another kind of subclass within the Praxic order of Warlocks. From the quote is from I think it's Taco 3, so it's obviously an EXO. But it's a writings of Taco 3, Praxic Deconstructionalist. And the quote is, "Complete awareness, complete focus, a mind sharpened by diligence to a single deadly point." So, again, going back to the Praxic being all about how can you destroy the most things. But, so the Stoic was the warlock that collaborated with the hunter Azuma Vale to create the Zen Meteor. And that's really all we know about these two warlocks. And so, yeah, that's it on the Stoic. There's not a lot on
Yeah,
it.
but Sean, do you have Zen Meteor?
Yes, I did finally get it. And
is it everything you thought?
No, it's overrated. It's a novelty, guys. I mean, to be honest, you know what happens is because you get the 3 kills, the 3 rapid kills, and then you get your dynamite, and you find you have 5 seconds to actually use it. So you get your 3 kills, and then you're frantically looking for something that's like a major ultra to shoot at, and of course, there's nothing around. If I'm going to use an exotic sniper or exotic special, it's going to be, as Morning Afterkill calls it, the Telesto the Molesto or the Black Spindle. I'm still going to use those. But,
yes.
I mean, it's a fun gun. And I'm not a big fan of the Haka snipers, the scopes. I'm just so used to having either an ambush or short gaze and stuff like that for my snipers. But it's okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It looks amazing, so it's got that going for it. Yeah, I'm probably with you. I'm thinking PvP unless you're routinely putting 4 people down with your sniper quickly. Right. It's probably a non-issue.
It's got some pretty high aim assist, though. I did get some pretty good PvP clips when I did the review for it. So, but I like to use my 1,000-yard stare over the Zen Meteor, because I like to use an exotic for my primary slot, mostly for PvP. So,
I like it. So after the Stoic, we had Teamer, which he had the hand cannon from Iron Banner, correct? Teamer's Lash.
Yep.
And don't know much about him, do we?
No, not really.
This is a theme.
This is a theme with the Warlocks. They like their secrets, apparently, even in death.
We're a mystery.
Oh my gosh. They're Batman, apparently. Don't tell them.
Except for Toland.
Except for Troland,
who's
Troland and Osiris.
He just can't shut up. Instead, he just won't be quiet.
Teamer, we know that the city enemies dreaded him the most from the Iron Camelot gloves, and that is kind of it. I'm trying to see real quick. Yeah, that's pretty much. We know he was a Lord of Iron, and he was dreaded among the city's enemies. So, GG, Teamer. GG. Then we come to, another pretty big name, Toland, a.k.a. Troland. He is missing. He is not dead nor alive. He's kind of...
in our sense, he's dead.
Well,
but his spirit lives on.
So, yes, he does. Haunting us.
Well, we're all dead, but...
Pestering us endlessly. Calling us stupid. Toland, we have an entire episode dedicated to Toland because there's just that much to talk about. Interesting trivia fact on Toland, he seems to be a nod to a philosopher by the name of John Toland. We've had a lot of conversations recently about the parallels between him and his theories in-game as opposed to the philosophical theories of John Toland outside of game. There's a lot of parallels between there. And I'm just going to let the episode speak for itself on that one because we talked about that quite a bit. And let me think, where else? Who's next? Ulan Tan. This guy has got some.
He was the leader of a city faction that does not exist anymore, or does it?
I think
it is not inside the city anymore. They were deemed very dangerous. They were called the Symmetry.
Yeah, well, supposedly they don't exist anymore.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense of our universe in the city and what we know at this point in the game, they're not around.
And the Ulan Tan's the majority of our information from Ulan Tan actually comes from the Darkness Grimoire card. There's a actual thesis that he has that says Ulan Tan's thesis considers the darkness a necessary symmetry to the traveler in a cosmic balance. In this view, the traveler's goodness led it to sacrifice for others, and it is up to us to return this goodness by healing the traveler. So, Ulan Tan definitely had it's also a pretty popular theory outside of game that the darkness and the light are two sides of the same coin type of thing.
Yeah, and he was actually considered to be very dangerous by the Vanguard.
Right.
When they were discussing who would replace the Concordat, they were going through the list of suspects, and they said, "No, the Symmetry's too dangerous.
Yeah,
their theology is too dangerous.
They're too much fear." And
yeah,
that's also where we find out that he is dead, because he says, "Who knew he'd be more trouble dead than alive?" And I think, and we kind of talked about this with, I'm trying to remember what episode it was, but the Symmetry is a dangerous philosophy to hold in a war situation, because what it does is it kind of it teaches the implications that the darkness is not able to be defeated, because it's a necessary component of the universe, right? You can't have light without dark. So like, why are you fighting the dark? Because you're fighting against the very nature of the universe itself. And so when you're talking to soldiers, it's not a very good idea to be like, hey, that enemy that you're fighting, you're not going to be able to defeat them. They're just a natural force. It's like, that's not a wise tactic to take. And then the very last one that I have is Win-G. I'm going to butcher that name. And there's really not that much about him. We got a couple quotes. Again, a couple bonds and another Samsara. And basically, he also seems like kind of a, not really lighthearted, but more of a philosophical. And, I guess this actually makes sense. Now, if Samsara is talking about reincarnation, the quote on it is, "Perhaps I had lives even before that. Perhaps I was once a tree." So he, there
yes.
you go. You can do with that quote what you will. And, I mean, there's just, I think it's Du Jiao Shao. I don't even know how to pronounce that one, but there's a suit of armor that has, a number of quotes from Wenji. And yeah.
Could you spell that, Blue?
DUJIAIOSHOU, and then one or two afterwards, depending on what you want.
So we only have two. We had a lot of Titan orders that we knew about and were aware of, but we only have two.
Well, yeah, and I would even hesitate to call the second one
because I know little to nothing about them. The one absolutely confirmed Warlock order is the Praxic order, and we've kind of already gone over them a little bit. Their whole main kind of philosophy was, you don't waste a lot of time trying to understand your enemy. You destroy your enemy.
Right.
With overwhelming force. But
they also emphasized bravery and the service to others. So it was a very, very kind of like I hesitate to say Templar-esque type thing, but it was definitely a knight, and kind of a knight errant, like a knight order. So, and then you want to talk about the unknown one.
Yeah, I'll let you take that one because I do not know anything about them.
This is not. I really even hesitate to even put this alongside the Praxic. There is an artifact called the Harlequin Pendulum, and there's actually kind of a cool, like there's a lot of interesting things about the Harlequin Pendulum. But it introduces a group of guardians who goes by the name of the Jin Sim Scribes. Now, we kind of talked about some of the implications of Jin Sim within like systems. It's, generation of I just blanked on it, and I'm feeling like an idiot on that. Symbol. It was a generation symbol. Gosh, man, I'm lagging. But the Harlequin Pendulum, if I'm remembering this correctly, also has this really, really kind of cool thing where it actually changes colors. based on the time of day within the environment that you are wearing it. And it was, let me see if I can find my notes on the color, because it was kind of an interesting thing. It was like during the day, it was green, and then oh my gosh,
yeah, the picture I have, it's green.
Like an aquamarine,
yeah,
type thing. And yeah, okay, it changes color depending on the time of the day, based on the current environment that you are in. So it's green during the day, and then it changes to blue at night, and then it changes to aquamarine at dawn and dusk. It was, and it's just really kind of,
and
I don't really know what it does, and it's actually,
this is in game. It's doing this.
Yes, in game, it's actually changed. So based on the environment that you are wearing this bond, if it's day, it'll be green. If it's night, it'll be blue. And then if it's like a dawn or dusk time, it'll actually be an aquamarine color. It's kind of like a transitionary color. So and the flavor text is a curious device sought after by the Jin Sim scribes. And that is literally the only nod to the Jin Sim scribes that we have. So I kind of have a feeling that the Jin Sim scribes are kind of like the cormorants. It's a school of thought within another order, or just an abstract school of thought outside of any orders. But we do know that they are out there. And then the only other really big one that we know of is the Thanatonauts. Fun Thanatonauts. I have so much fun with this one.
But they're not so much an order.
No. That is correct. They are not an order. Thank you for that. They are not an order. They are definitely a school of thought, and they, obviously seem to be very much sun singers, because their entire thing, we discussed this in previous episodes, but the name is a combination of Thanatos, who from Greek mythology is the god or avatar of death, and then the word naut, which is explorer, sailor. So literally, it's a sailor of death. It's someone who explores the realms of the dead. And the way that they do this is they kill themselves, they commit suicide, and then in the interim between the time that they die and the time that they can resurrect themselves, either via them with their own light or with the ghost, they try to pierce the veil of the memory that is hidden from them of their previous lives, or they try to explore the Netherverse, is what we've kind of, Bife has kind of talked about this as well a little bit, but that Netherverse is kind of a reoccurring theme. There's a really cool trivia fact on the Thanatonauts. There's actually a science fiction series that was written recently by a French author, Bernard Werber, however you want to say that. And it's a really kind of cool, it's a philosophical science fiction that explores death in a search for the afterlife. And it's comprised of two trilogies, the Thanatonaut trilogy, and then the Us the Gods trilogy. And the titles are actually kind of cool. It's the first trilogy is the Thanatonauts, the Empire of Angels, and then Us the Gods, which transcends into the second trilogy, which is Us the Gods, the Breath of the Gods, and the Mystery of the Gods. So it's a kind of a new-ish genre of science fiction, science fantasy. And that is kind of where, and I don't want to say that's where the term was coined, but it was. I think this series was written back in 2006 or 2007. So it was prior to Destiny coming out.
Yeah, they are flatliner warlocks.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Picture a bunch of Kiefer Sutherlands just running around with power.
I remember us talking about this. Yeah. So yeah, and that's really, again, there's some quests and some missions. We have those. There's a couple of them out there. I'm trying to remember any of them that spring off, and I'm not really.
No, I think we hit it.
I think we got most of it. And then, like I said, I'm in the process of archiving the chats, which is an interesting process. But I'm going to try to get those publicly available to people. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, but that way we can also kind of give you guys an opportunity to make sure that I'm being honest when I say that I get most of the ideas that we talked about. So, yeah, I think we did it. Did we do it?
Yeah, we did. I'm gonna have to talk to Bife. There's not near enough Warlock lore.
Don't tell him that.
I'm gonna.
One of the things that just really makes me it's glaring is that when you read all of this lore, and even though I'm quiet in this part, this is all fascinating to me. And there's so much that was written into this game that's in the grimoire, that's in this, that's in the story, that's not actually on screen or within the game itself. I mean, they could make an animated series, they could make a visual book, or even like a comic book or something. I certainly would read all this for hours. I mean, I'm hoping in future titles within Destiny, we have maybe between cutscenes or in loading screens, you can choose to just read it on screen, because I think a lot of us don't realize we have to go to our phone and go into our grimoire and read all this stuff. I would almost like to see, like, let's say when you're loading into a Crucible map, instead of seeing your ship flying in, you could see right on screen just one grimoire card that you've unlocked, and I'll have everything written, and maybe it's like 2 or 3 visual pictures depicting what's going on in there, because there's just so much story. It's their own universe.
Right, and what that makes me think of is how Skyrim did their lore. It was just, Elder Scrolls, you couldn't fit everything onto a screen, but they had like snippets, and then they had like the statue figurines, the 3D statues that you could like rotate while you're waiting for the loading screen. That would be a really cool.
Yeah, just honestly, anything. If there were ever
in game.
Yeah. If there were ever a title that screamed for an expanded universe, it's this one. There's way too much. And
they could.
It's not. Everyone likes to criticize and say that the Destiny story was thrown together and it was incomplete and all this other stuff from vanilla. But this is not a thrown together, kind of patched together bit of writing. Like, a lot of these things have real world tie-ins to very obscure things that specifically point to their connections, and that doesn't happen by accident. So someone took a lot of time when naming items and putting in quotes, and that's a lot of time someone spent. It really needs to see the light of day. And
even if you do something like Halo has the Evolutions, which is the collection of short stories. Yes. That was then made into the Legends animated short, which was also kind of similar to like what they did with the Animatrix. That would be kind of a really cool, and it would allow different artists to kind of put their own spin on things. You're obviously probably not gonna. I know like the story of Dragon Yor and Jaren Ward. I want to say it was that one. The guy who kind of came up with it was he was talking, and he basically came out and said that when he made that story, he kind of thought of it as a comic book. So was that's
Well, yes, and then on the other side of that
always
coin,
necessary.
On the other side of that coin, this is Bungie. And these are all things that they've done before. So I do believe we'll get it at some point.
Yeah, I would agree. I definitely agree with that. So, but yeah, I think that pretty much covers the basic layout of Warlocks. By no means is this a full in-depth dive, because you want to get me talking about Osiris, I could probably go for a while.
No, we're okay.
So yeah,
awesome.
Let's do some shout outs, and then we will. I think Justin has something for us after show.
Oh Jesus, do I?
He's putting you on the spot.
No, real quick before we get into shout outs, Mesa, why don't you tell everyone where we can find you? I heard you make videos on some sort of internet video streaming service that's new, YouTube or something.
It's called YouTube. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. MesaSean on YouTube, where I pretty much cover everything. I'm not just PvP. I'm not just PvE. I do news. I do weapon reviews. I do package engram openings. I do some PvP stuff. And I also stream a lot right to YouTube. So sometimes like it'll be raid. Trying to do like throwback Thursdays where we do Crota and Vault of Glass, because it really is dawning how many people who have come into the game in year 2 and never got to experience or see the old raids. And I think that's even more apparent when the fanatic of Crota is the tier 3 Court of Oryx, and I go in there and there's randoms, and they pick up the sword and they just start hacking away and then die. You realize you have to take his shield down, and then you have to, we have to shoot him first. But that made me realize, wow, a lot of people never experienced the initial raids and never did Crota's End, or probably Vault of Glass for that matter. So I do that, and then also just follow me on Twitter for lots of shenanigans. I definitely tweet a lot, sometimes funny videos that I just put up like 30-second clips of me getting lucky or my awful RNG. And guys, thanks for having me on. This definitely was a lot of fun. I'm always fascinated by all of this lore stuff, and I'm always in awe and Guardian Radio when Bife starts laying into the lore, because it just makes me realize like how big this universe is, and there's so much story behind the actual game itself that people need to know this stuff. It's completely fascinating, and like I said before, if they could literally make movies out of all of the stuff that's in the game in terms of the backstory and all these characters and what they've gone through. I mean, how many people would watch let's say a video or even little short movie on what happened when Eris Morn and her fire team went down into that pit to fight Crota, see exactly what happened to them. I'd love to watch that. Or how the Gjallarhorn was forged at the Battle of Twilight Gap, just stuff like that. It's fun to read, but man, I would love to see it somehow visualized in some format. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Very cool, guys. But yeah, definitely thanks for having me on, guys. I'd love to come on again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you need to tell K-Dub and Mark they need to get good, because they're the only ones. They're the only ones who haven't been on.
Well, I think what we'll have to do is lure them in with another Titan episode.
Oh,
Isn't that how we trick them? Is just...
That's the frequent argument that goes on, because Bife and I are Warlocks and K-Dub and Mark are Titans. So definitely lure them in. Like, we got a special edition Titan only episode. K-Dub and Mark will jump all over it, I think.
Yeah. And then it'll really be like the philosophy of Greek mythology and destiny. Mid dissertation by Blue.
Hey.
Well,
there's some there. I think.
Do you have any shout outs, Mesa?
Let's see, Guardian Radio on Monday nights at 8:30. Destiny Con. Are any of you guys going to Destiny Con this summer?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you guys all there. You have Destiny Con's coming up, and any other shout outs? That's pretty much it. Thank you guys again for having me on.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for coming.
Awesome.
Blue, you go ahead.
Yep.
You never go before me.
Yeah, I know. It feels weird. I have just one shout out, just a new supporter. Thank you, Redneck Ma, for your support. It's greatly appreciated, and that was pretty much my shout out. So thank you so much for supporting us over on podcast.
Thanks a lot, Redneck, and Blue all ever the minimalist with his shout outs. Yeah,
I try to be short and sweet, except for when it comes to Osiris. Then we can go.
I will not be, sir. I'd just like to thank Damo and Josh for the awesome Star Wars episode last time, and I was really sad I wasn't able to make it, but a coma begged me to not join, so I was in a coma. So, and then thank you, Mesa, for coming on this week.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, and as ever, I'd like to give a big shout out to my clan, the DoD Shadow White crew, and give it up for the live chat here. You're the real MVP.
Oh man!
So yeah, I think that does it, man. Good episode.
Awesome, guys.
All right, so with that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over in chat for coming and spending the evening with us. If you'd like to join us, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. Links to all our sites can also be found with our episode archives over on www.focusfirechat.com. Thank you again to MesaSean for chatting with us. Really appreciate you taking time to chat with us and hope to get you back on here if we can in the future.
Thank you, good sir. Definitely. Yes, for sure. I'll definitely come on again. It was a lot of fun, guys. I learned a lot. I'll tell you that much.
Awesome.
Especially about my favorite class, of course.
Then mission accomplished.
Yeah.
So please be sure to email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com with any feedback, questions, or topics that you'd like to see us tackle in our new YouTube videos that we're in the process of making, the Lore 101 series and Justin Spinfoil Corner. We try to keep through the scheduled Wednesday night streams of the chat starting approximately 10 p.m. Central, but if we do have any variations, we always try to make sure that everyone knows through our Twitter account, which is just at FocusFireChat. Next week, we are going to have a bit of a change-up due to my being out of town, so that stream is going to be on Thursday at 10 p.m. Central. So until next time, the Lore Band marches on.